Unbelievable things will start happening for you when you learn to love yourself first. I don't know about you, but for most of my life, I grappled with a serious case of people pleasing. Always putting others first. Always trying to meet the needs of others while ignoring my own. And looking back, I think so many different factors led to this. Firstly, being a woman. From an early age, I remember I was continually conditioned by older generations, by teachers, by society in general, to be kind, helpful, and nurturing, to look after everyone else around me, even when that came at the expense of my own wants and needs. These messages quietly but profoundly shaped how I presented myself in the world. But I think the biggest factor of all was the complete lack of self-worth, self-belief, and confidence in myself. That's truly where it really stemmed from. All of that, however, changed for me when I began to do the inner work. I went from being a shy girl consistently seeking external validation, always people-pleasing, trying to be friends with everyone, and endlessly chasing approval, to actually becoming a woman who knows what she wants, a woman who sets boundaries, who is content being alone, who can walk away from relationships that don't serve her, and who is deeply in tune with her own needs and never compromises on them. It's the most empowering thing that you can be as a woman. Someone who is unapologetically herself, who loves herself enough to never compromise on her values and happiness. It took me far long to realize all of this, nearly 30 years of my life to connect these dots. But here's the thing, it really doesn't matter what your past conditioning was. What matters is recognizing it. With that self-awareness, you can start the work of unlearning and recondition yourself to prioritize your happiness, your needs, and your self-worth. To learn to love yourself first. So, here is some wisdom that I wish I knew years ago. So hopefully you can begin to understand why self-love is the key to unlocking your fullest potential. So the first thing I want to stress is that your relationship with yourself will set the foundation for all of the relationships in your life. If you don't love yourself, you will often seek that love from others in the most unhealthy ways. A strained inner relationship with yourself often leads to strained outer relationships because you're operating from a place of lack, needing others to fill gaps you've neglected within yourself. And when you look for other people to fill those gaps, you're most often attracting individuals who want to exploit that. Your lack of confidence, your lack of boundaries. But when you love yourself, you set the standard for how you expect others to treat you. You attract relationships built on mutual respect, love, and understanding because you already embody those things within yourself. If you don't honor your own needs, you're less likely to enforce boundaries or demand respect from others. You might find yourself saying yes when every single fiber of your being is screaming no. Or you might tolerate behavior that undermines your worth because deep down you don't believe you deserve better. But when you respect yourself, you set the tone for how others should treat you. Your boundaries become a reflection of your self-love, not barriers to keep people out, but rather guideposts that teach them how to meet you where you are. When you love yourself, you can confidently call out bad behavior that does not align with how you expect to be treated. You can say, hey, that's not okay. I will not tolerate this because I deserve better. You can actually vocalize your needs without hesitation, and people will feel that energy. They will automatically understand that you do not mess around, that you see through bad behavior, and that you never compromise your values just to have someone in your life. You embody the type of person who is not afraid to walk away or to walk alone. And when you start advocating for yourself, for your needs, for your wants, and when you start setting boundaries and going after what you want unapologetically, your self-love and confidence will begin to grow. So just start small. Align one action today with your wants and values. Set that one small boundary with someone who has previously benefited from you not setting them. And I promise you that it will feel so empowering. The relationship you have with yourself is the only constant in your life, the only companion who will always be there. So you've got to make it a good one. You've got to invest in it. Another small bit of wisdom that I want to share with you is that when you are operating from a place of self-love, you begin aligning all your actions with your most authentic self. You stop bending backwards to fit into others or society's boxes, or trying to be a version of you that you think you should be. Instead, you start embracing your deepest wants and needs honestly, fully, and unapologetically. You almost create this shield where other people's opinions or view of you no longer play a part in your decision making. You are no longer triggered by people's view of your choices, your life, but instead, you let any judgment and negativity bounce right back off of you. And that can only happen if you wholeheartedly live according to your own values, goals, and the life you've imagined for yourself. You will also find that as you build on that self-love, your truest, most authentic self will become crystal clear to you. You will fully begin to embrace and understand who you are, what you want, and what you need. You will also start shedding away the old pieces of you, almost the facade that you have had to keep up just to fit into society's template. Honestly, that can be a really painful process because that's when you finally begin to realize how much of yourself you've hidden or contained over the years. I can remember the number of times when someone in the past has asked me to do something, whether it is to take on an additional project at work or to go to a party I really didn't want to go to, or whatever else it might have been. Remember, I used to always respond straight away, and usually with a, yes, I'll do it. I didn't even stop to consider my answer. I just went straight to yes, because that was my programming. Because I was programmed to always put other people's needs ahead of my own, to avoid disappointing them, even if it meant disappointing myself. I sacrificed my wants and needs for someone else without a second thought, only to be flooded with frustration and bitterness because deep down I knew that that quick yes should have been a hell no. So I began doing two things. Firstly, I told myself I will always pause before giving an answer. I literally count down to 10, or even just say to the person, can I get back to you on this by the end of the day? This prevents you from making that rushed, conditioned decision and gives you a bit of time to evaluate if this is really what you want and if it aligns with your current needs. I then do what I like to call a self-alignment check. And in my mind, I ask myself, will saying yes to this honor my values, wants, and needs? I then vocalize my answer, saying something like, I will say no to this invitation because I need time to rest. And when I do that, I almost feel that sense of relief and calm because I know I'm honoring my boundaries. This is where the real transformation begins. When you start letting go of the conditioning and expectations that have shaped you, you will begin to uncover the person you've always been underneath it all. And I promise you, the moment you stop living for others and start living for yourself, you will feel a deep, unshakable sense of inner peace. And that's the true power of self-love. One final thing I want to share with you today is that self-love is not about being perfect and getting everything right all the time. Self-love is about embracing yourself despite your mistakes, despite the slip-ups, despite the times that you say or do the wrong thing. It's about knowing that your worth isn't tied to perfection. It's tied to your humanity, to the simple fact that you are enough just as you are. And the key to unlocking that kind of self-love is forgiveness. Forgiving yourself is one of the most powerful acts of love that you can give yourself. When you forgive yourself, you're letting go of the shame, the guilt, the endless self-criticism. You're saying to yourself, yes, I am flawed, but I am still worthy of love. I might not be perfect, but I am still valuable. Forgiveness really just frees you. It breaks those chains of self-judgment that allow you to move forward without carrying the weight of your past mistakes. And when you can really forgive yourself, you create the space to grow, to learn, to love yourself even more deeply. It's not always easy. The world constantly tells us that we should be everything to everyone, that we should be perfect, polished, and to do it all. But real self-love is messy, it's raw, it's honest, and sometimes it means admitting that we can't do it all. And that's okay. Self-love isn't about perfection, it really is about acceptance. So the next time you mess up, which you probably will, because we all do, pause and remind yourself of this. I am human, I am learning, and I am still deserving of love. And that's what true self-love really is. Remember, the love that you seek from others starts with the love that you give yourself. When you truly love yourself, you become magnetic. You become unstoppable. You will attract everything that aligns with your highest self. And that, my friend, is where the real magic happens. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video.